All right, I'm here at Indian Motorcycle to pick up my 2001 Indian Challenger. Just got it serviced, and I'm going to give you my 10,000 mile review. But first, I got to go pick up my bike and we'll go check out the shop here for a minute. So I think I'm looking at the Indian Scout Rogue. Man, that's a cute little bike. Definitely got a little different look here. Man. Just a little too big, weigh about 200 pounds, like 6'2". Man, this bike is tiny. It's a slick looking bike though. Welcome back to 7th Generation Now. I just picked up my bike from Indian Motorcycle in Hollister, California. I stopped off at Casa de Fruta. I'm leaving Casa de Fruta. And what you're looking at right here is Pacheco Pass. It's a beautiful day to ride in this area. I'm heading back to Fresno, California, where it's not so beautiful. So like I said, I just picked up my Indian Challenger from Hollister, the birthplace of the American biker, and I had my 10,000 mile service done on the bike, and so I'm going to do my 10,000 mile review. I definitely am very, very happy with the bike thus far. I've had a few issues that came up, and I wanted to talk about those. I went on a long trip up to Washington and Oregon. I want to talk a little bit about that. But before we get too far into my 10,000 mile review of my 2021 Indian Challenger base model, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. I've definitely been putting a lot of miles on the bike since I purchased this motorcycle back in 2021. Like I said, this is the 2021 Indian Challenger base model, and the bike has been really good to me thus far. There's a couple issues that I ran into during the last 5,000 miles. Some of these latches right here, well, not some of them, both of them broke on each side. So I got my right one fixed. The latch, this little compartment right here is fixed, but the one on the left-hand side also broke. And that was one of my complaints when I did the last review, was that switch lanes here, was that there's just a lot of plastic on this bike. But really, other than that, I haven't had any issues at all. I replaced my back tire at about 12,000 miles. My front tire is still good. My brakes are fantastic. Man, these Brembo brakes are definitely great in the front. The rear brakes are, like I said, so-so. And so I have the stock seat, and I thought on a long trip like that I might run into some issues. But really, the stock seat has been fine. I have read a lot of complaints from Indian owners that, hey, you got to switch out the seat. And I definitely plan on switching out this seat with something maybe a little bit more comfortable. But to be truthful, I haven't had any issues. And when I went on this long ride to Washington, and we're talking about over 2,000 miles, I was really comfortable the entire time. Once again, I'm riding through Pacheco Pass. This is right outside of Hollister in Gilroy. If you don't know the area, it's really beautiful here. I'm heading back to the San Joaquin Valley again, doing my 10,000 mile review. I have more than 10,000 miles on the bike, by the way. I did go a little bit over before I had it serviced. But like I said, besides these plastic pieces, man, this bike has been a champ. This motor, no issues whatsoever. Thankfully, I do have a lifetime warranty on the motor, so that's great. I've only had the bike for less than 18 months, so the factory warranty on it is still good. But really, I just can't find anything that I really don't like about the bike. And like I said, I'm only around 12,000 miles in, so we have a ways to go. But if you're looking to buy an Indian Challenger, I really wouldn't hesitate. I can't see another bike out there on the market that I would buy. The liquid cooled motor, this thing handles like a dream. This bike handles like it's a sport bike. How we doing? And on a long trip, it's super comfortable. This windshield is not a gimmick. This windshield protected me throughout the winter. I did a lot of riding during the wintertime. One of the great things about riding out here in California is that we can ride year round. It gets a little cold, and like I said, I am a wimp. I don't like the cold, and that windshield does help. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that extra 3-4 inches of protection really does count. The stock stereo, it's all right. Definitely could use an upgrade. Obviously, you know, finances are tight for most of us. This is an expensive hobby. I will say this, that paying for the services through Indian Motorcycle is costly. I was talking to them about my 15,000 mile service, and they were saying that it could run me up to $1,200 depending on the fork seals, if they need to be replaced or not. And so that definitely doesn't make me very happy. So service on this bike is definitely expensive, but everybody knows going in that if you buy an Indian Motorcycle and Harley, that this is an expensive hobby. I love what Indian Motorcycle is doing. I think they're really changing the game. I think Harley is going to have a rough time keeping up if they don't start working on their technology. The technology of this bike just completely kills Harley. And I know Harley is coming out with some new models. They have the Lowrider S, the Lowrider ST. Their 2022 Lowrider ST is really dope. I actually like that bike. The fairing, though, on that bike doesn't really compare to this. That bike is more for somebody who's looking to get into the bagger game but isn't quite ready. But that is a dope bike, definitely. And they do have a liquid cooled motor for one of their smaller bikes that they just produced. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But to be honest with you, I think Indian is really the way to go right now if you're looking to buy a bagger, if you're looking to do something that's a little different from the traditional V-twin, the Harley V-twin. Buy an Indian Motorcycle. You're not going to regret it. There are some downsides that I do want to talk about with buying an Indian. There are Harley dealerships everywhere, but I had to have my bike brought out to Hollister. I don't live in Hollister. I don't live in the Bay Area. And I had to have my bike towed. A good friend of mine towed my bike out here to get it serviced because the Indian dealership in Fresno was backed up and I need my bike. So that's one big issue that you definitely are going to run into if you're going to have your bike serviced through Indian. You can do some of the things yourself, but you don't want to void your warranty. You definitely want to make sure that you know what you're doing if you are going to service your bike yourself. Like I said, I have a lifetime warranty on the motor, and I could push this bike as hard as I want, but I do have to make sure that I'm getting it serviced through Indian Motorcycle to ensure that if something does happen to the motor, I'm good to go. But that's really has nothing to do with the Indian Challenger. It has to do more with Indian Motorcycle. And of course, in the next coming years, you're going to see more Indian dealerships pop up in your location. But that is a concern for some, and there are Harley dealerships everywhere. And that's really where Harley, I think, has Indian. Now, some people say, you know, there's more that you can do to your bike. If you buy a Harley, it's more customizable. There's more aftermarket parts and whatnot. But if we're talking about buying a reliable bike, you're talking about an American V-twin that isn't Harley Davidson, that's really a dope bike, then we're talking about buying an Indian Motorcycle. You are not going to regret it, trust me. Now, I did go on a trip to Washington, and we got a lot of wind. One thing about Pacheco Pass, and you guys know this, if you're watching this video and you've ridden through Pacheco Pass, you know it can be really windy. It's really not that windy today, but we have a little bit of wind definitely going. And I'll say this, this bike, man, I have ridden through this area with my friends who ride Harleys, and I just see their bikes just all over the road. And they've told me that this bike really doesn't move. If you are on the fence, my suggestion is find a local Indian dealership, give them a call, and see when they're going to bring the bikes through, because what they do is they usually will bring the bikes in, all the bikes that they have, all the different models, and you can ride them. I think Indian Motorcycle here in Fresno in a couple of weeks is going to have, they're going to bring the bikes in. I'm going to go check it out and probably ride the Pursuit, which is basically this bike on steroids, and probably ride a couple of the other bikes. So I'm making my way through Pacheco Pass, that San Luis reservoir right there, and it's already starting to heat up. On the other side of Pacheco Pass, it's nice and cool. When you start heading towards the valley, it starts to warm up quickly, and we're talking about temperature change is going to be pretty dramatic here. But man, I'm just happy to have my bike back. I haven't done much to the bike. I've upgraded the exhaust. I changed out my windshield here. I have heated grips now on the bike. But here in sunny California, it still gets kind of cold in the wintertime. But we get to take our bikes out. And having heated grips definitely does help. Now I'll say this is the base model. You could spend a lot more money and buy the Limited or the Elite, and it will come with some other bells and whistles. It'll come with the the smart lean technology. This bike doesn't have any of that. You're looking to get into the bagger game, but you want something that's reliable. A Challenger is where it's at. If you don't want the smart lean technology, you can do the base model, and then you can customize it to your liking and do whatever it is that you want to do to it. Now they did come out with the Indian Pursuit, and it comes with the trunk, but this bike here could essentially become a Pursuit if I wanted it to. Obviously, I'd have to spend a lot of money to do the upgrades. You know, I'll show you the view here before we get into my trip to Washington. So I rode the bike all the way up to Washington, from Fresno to the Bay Area, through Oregon, up to Tacoma. Spent a couple days up that way, rode all the way back to California, and didn't have any problems at all. Just a beautiful ride. It's a comfortable bike to take on a long trip. And I hope you guys can hear me because the wind is really picking up. And this is, again, Pacheco Pass. If you've ridden through here, then you know what I'm talking about. And this is a good day. I've been through this area where, man, the wind is really, really strong. But that is the San Luis Reservoir. It's really beautiful out here. Like I said, didn't have any issues whatsoever. Had a couple guys that I rode up there with had issues with their bikes. Their bikes had to be trailered back. And I rode up there in back without any problems. Again, with the stock seat, no issues. I am a little lighter. I know some people, you know, are probably around, 250, 275 thinking, I definitely need a better seat. And that's probably the case. But at 200 pounds, 6'2", on a long trip, again, we're talking about riding from Fresno to the Bay Area all the way to Tacoma, Washington, and back in a couple of days. I felt very, very comfortable on this bike. It's fast, smooth, handles well. So at the end of this video, we're going to show you some footage, some GoPro footage from that trip. But like I said, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. If you like the content here, subscribe to the channel. Share the video if you'd like. Leave a comment. I'll do my best to get through all the comments. So that's it. 7th generation now. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you liked this 10,000 mile review of this Harley killer, this 2021 Indian Challenger. I love my bike. So check out the views of this amazing trip that I went on to Washington. We went through Weed, California, Ashland, Medford, Portland, Eugene, Oregon, that's where I used to live, all the way up to Tacoma, Washington. enjoy the rest of this video. And again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Feel free to share it. All right, till next time. Peace.